All right, long time since we've recorded a podcast on 5-2, but we're back in the dog days of baseball, mid-June coming up, trade deadline, all-star break. We've got a lot of fun stuff. I'm excited to hop into this podcast. We've got me, Samuel Levin, Jake Morganstein, and Ryan Schlesinger. We've got a lot of good segments today. We're going to start with some midterms on how we feel about these teams midway through the year. We're eventually going to work in the buy-sell, including buy and sell some stocks and some teams in the standings. And we're going to close it out with a little grid-tac-toe. So let's start off some mid-year thoughts. We're going to go with 5 teams in the AL and 5 teams in the NL. First team is going to be the New York Yankees in the American League. Samuel, I'll start with you. Yankees, they've been 3-7 in their last 10 games, but they still have a small lead over the Rays in the AL East. What are your thoughts on the Yankees right now?
Yeah, tons of up and downs throughout the year with this Yankees team, Sam, but they are in good standing currently. They are in, I believe, third place as we speak in the AL, and at 44-32 record. They're tied with the Astros. The Rays, I believe, are 1.5 games behind them for the AL East lead. So this team is in good position, probably around what we thought they would be at the start of the year at this current moment. And, bumps and all that will happen in the road along the way, but they've had some bright spots. Paul Goldschmidt was way better than they expected. Max Fried was just about as advertised, but as advertised is something very positive for the Yankees. And Aaron Judge has just been downright insane so far. He's already at 27 home runs. Jake, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, when I look at the New York Yankees, I think that what's really been carrying them is their offense. Cody Bellinger has really stepped up when it comes to playing in the last few weeks. It all kicked off with him when he hit that big grand slam against the Mets in the 8th inning of the last game of the Subway Series. But just overall, their offense has just been very, very, very strong and has been one of the best in the American League with the star Aaron Judge at the front of the helm. They also have Jazz Chisholm, who's coming back from injury. And we have to mention, though, is that even though it hasn't really played that big of an impact, is the torpedo bats that have started in 2025. The Yankees were the first team to do that, and they took advantage of it early, especially in the first couple games of the year against Milwaukee. But the Yankees, as an overall team, I expected them to finish second place in the division this year. It looks like they're going to run away with the first place lead, though.
Ryan, what do you got on the Yanks?
Yeah, you guys both put an emphasis on the Yankees offense, but what I think has been the key for their success this year is actually their starting pitching. Going into the year, Garrett Cole was ruled out for the entirety of the 2025 season, but other starting pitchers like Clark Schmidt and Max Fried have stepped up big time. I want to specifically highlight Clark Schmidt, who had a great outing today. He went 7 innings against the Orioles, allowing no hits and just 3 base runners total, 2 walks and a hit by pitch, as well as 5 strikeouts. And over his last 3 outings, all 3 of them have been scoreless. Obviously, today was against the Yankees, and then 5 days ago against the Angels. And his third most recent start came against the Royals. And he's got at least 6 in all 3 of those outings. So they've had some starting pitchers step up big time. Obviously, Max Fried is also a Cy Young candidate right now in the American League. So I think that if Clark Schmidt and Max Fried both step it up, and maybe they get a big piece at the deadline to add to their starting rotation, their rotation could be very scary come playoff time.
Yeah, I'll close it out on the Yankees, which is that during this 10-game, this 10-game skid, it kind of all started in the Rafael Devers funeral series. Like, you would think that it has been their pitching that has stopped. They haven't given up. They haven't had a loss where they've given up more than 5 runs in this skid whatsoever. So, to be honest, when I look at this Yankees lineup entering the mid-year point, unless they get somebody big at the trade deadline, I'm not nearly as scared of this lineup as I was going into the last playoff, simply because, I don't think that they've really done enough to fill the void of Soto, and I need to see more from Anthony Volpe at shortstop to really invest in this team in the playoffs. I do think they're going to win the American League East pretty easy, but in terms of getting a bat, I think that they're probably going to need to maybe get 1 or 2 at the deadline, which we can talk about in a couple segments later. For now, speaking of the Rafael Devers funeral series, we're going to talk about the team that just got rid of Rafael Devers in the Boston Red Sox. I'll go reverse order here. I'll start with Ryan on this one.
Yeah, the Red Sox have been about what I've expected them to be going into the year. They're currently 4th in the American League East, and they were below 500 for a good amount of time. But after a pretty big win streak where they won several of their last few games, they're now 40-38. So yeah, going into the year, I expected the Red Sox to be a solid team. I expected them to hang around, but I didn't expect them to really threaten the Yankees or any of the front runners in the American League East. And it's been a little tough for them to even get close to the top of the American League East, with the Rays and Blue Jays surprisingly being each 6 games above 500 or better, respectively. The Rays are 43-34, and the Blue Jays are 41-35. So the Red Sox are comfortably in 4th place right now, and I can see that changing sometime if they end up gaining some more games on both the Rays and Blue Jays. At the end of the day, they're only 5 games back of the division. But yeah, I just haven't been too impressed with this team. I think their pitching is lackluster. Their offense is solid, but they just lost Rafael Devers, and we'll see if they do anything big at the deadline to make up for that subtraction.
Jake, what do you think?
What I think about the Boston Red Sox is I thought that they're going to come in and they were going to have an easy way through the American League East this year, but it really didn't happen. Alex Bregman has been playing really good baseball over at third base, but then when you look at their outfield, they seem like they've had a lot of depth out there in the outfield. Jaron Duran playing left. They got Willie Abreu out in right field as well. Cedane Rafaela in center. And then they also have Roman Anthony, who they just call up from AAA, who has really struggled in his first week as a major leaguer at offensively and defensively. But then also there is just a lot of pitching help needed for this Boston Red Sox team. They obviously have Garrett Crochet, who has been proving to what they thought that he was going to be at the start of the season, a Cy Young candidate. He can go deep into games. It's a lot of strikeouts. And then Brian Bayo, who has really been the number 2 guy for them so far throughout this season, has also been pretty good. But just the overall Red Sox themselves have really just been below par for what I thought that they were going to be. But you can't talk about the Boston Red Sox without talking about their closer, Aroldis Chapman, who is proving to have his best career year, is posting a 1.5 ERA this season and is still throwing the ball over 103 miles an hour. So that's my take on the Boston Red Sox.
Samuel, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this Boston Red Sox team because you can really see how smart of an organization this is. A lot of these guys, you didn't really hear of them, or they may have been having down seasons before they came onto the scene with Boston. A guy that I'd like to highlight is Willie Abreu. No one really knew his name at the start of last year. He went out and won a Gold Glove, and I believe had a 3+ WAR. And then they go out and acquire guys like Garrett Crochet. Came from a bad team. People might have thought they gave up too much, but they still kept their big 3 core. And Crochet's been lights out for them this year. Christian Campbell, which was part of their big 3, he just got sent down, but that's just for development. I expect he'll come back up and be good. I mean, in April, he won Rookie of the Month. And Roman Anthony, like Jake said, hasn't been that good in his first week, but it's 1 week. Who really cares? Everyone has slumps. Like, I think just the way the Red Sox can build up these guys, for example, Rob Refsnyder, Abraham Toro, Carlos Narvaez. I might be missing someone there, but yeah, a lot of these guys that were not really core parts of any team before, they bring them in, and now Narvaez, for example, is a starting catcher and might even make the All-Star game. So I really like where this Red Sox team is going. It might not all work out this year, but I think they've got a really good shot down the line to be the top team, at least contending-wise, in the AL.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit skeptical on this Boston Red Sox team because I feel like this year's Red Sox team is kind of the same thing we've seen out of the Red Sox every year since really Alex Cora got suspended in 2020, which has just been a really maybe slightly above average team on paper that just plays mediocre baseball. And I'm not really going to trust their decision making at the trade deadline until I see what they've done, at least after what they did this past weekend. I mean, they have been playing okay baseball, though, lately. I will give them that. I mean, lost the game today because of a Devers home run, but they still put themselves in a decent position. I'm looking at this team's upcoming schedule. They finish off this West Coast road trip they go to Angel Stadium to play the Angels. Then they have a homestand against the Blue Jays and Reds. They then finish off this really thing I'm highlighting with going at Washington 4th of July weekend, and then they host the Rockies and Rays. If they can finish off above the All-Star break on a high note, which I think they should based on who they're playing in that slate, they should be pretty well off. But in terms of just looking at this Red Sox lineup, I really don't trust it. I mean, they've had a lot of low-scoring games ever since they've made this Rafael Devers trade. I really think that this is going to be a day not for the first-round wild card exit. So That's really all I've gone on Boston. We'll stick in the division. We'll go with probably one of the most disappointing teams in the AL, maybe all baseball, the Baltimore Orioles. I'll swing it to Samuel. What do you think?
Sam, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what's gone wrong with this team. I mean, it just seems like everywhere players have been underperforming constantly. I mean, you rarely see anyone even talking about this team anymore. Like you expected this team to be a top team in the AL this year. People were skeptical of their pitching before. I wanted to place them downwards in the division, but I didn't want to underrate them necessarily. But I guess I should have, because this team has been straight trash this far. Adley Rutschman has been horrible. His OPS is under 700 this year and over 200 at bats. Uh, I was on the Adley Rutschman overrated train a while ago. I know I put Ryan onto that train as well. Um, that's about all. I mean, this pitching has just been horrid. Everyone knew they should have signed more pitching in the offseason, and they didn't. So, yeah. Ryan, to you
Yeah,
next.
I'm gonna take over as host real quick as Sam is having some technical difficulties. But I am actually not surprised at all that this Orioles team is underperforming like this. Going into this year, I was not high on them at all, contradictory to what a lot of MLB fans thought. I was thinking last year the Orioles had a great first half, followed up by a massive regression in the second half, and that led into the playoffs where they failed to win a game for the second straight season. They were knocked out in the first round. And you just look at this Orioles team across the board. Their only really great player now that Anthony Santander is gone is Gunnar Henderson, and he has not been performing to the superstar level we saw him perform at last year. Yes, he's still good. Yes, he still has a 127 OPS plus, but he's no longer in the conversation for one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball. And then after Gunnar Henderson, the depth in their lineup is just very, very thin. Their second most valuable player, according to Baseball Reference WAR this season, is Ramon Laureano, who's in his 30s and has just been like a backup defensive outfielder his whole career. And their best starting pitcher by Baseball Reference WAR is Tomoyoku Sagano, who is a rookie this season and has a 3.55 ERA. So it's one of the worst, if not the worst, pitching staff in Major League Baseball. And the offense really doesn't have much going for them outside of Gunnar Henderson, who, like I mentioned, is underperforming this season relative to last year. So, yeah, I'm just not surprised at all that the Orioles have a 33-42 record right now. And I think their window has already closed after going through a very long rebuild. And they went through all of that, so many brutal years for their fans. And the end result was 0 playoff wins and just 2 playoff appearances. So, yeah, it's the Orioles are probably about to enter some more very dark days. And if you know any Orioles fans, go check on them because they're probably having a very rough time right now.
Yeah, I'm going to take my take on the Baltimore Orioles. I had them in, I forgot, 3rd or 4th place in the division, so I didn't have them performing well, but I didn't think that they would be this bad. They have no one besides Sudiago who posting a ERA that is below 4. Everyone's ERA in their starting rotation is above 4. When you look at their team compared from last year to this year, they had Corbin Burns in the rotation. They had Grayson Rodriguez, who is down with an injury. Just overall, this team was a lot better built last year than it was this year. I'm expecting a guy maybe like Cedric Mullins to be traded at the trade deadline. You also, who we mentioned, Gunnar Henderson, who he only has 8 home runs throughout this season so far, and he's posting a 2.4 B WAR when it comes to his WAR and overall his performance on the field. Just this team, though, has just not been good at all. Their bullpen's been lackluster. Their just offense has not been good, which is what's been carrying them throughout the last 2 years when they made the playoffs as the 1 seed in back-to-back seasons. This Orioles team, I saw coming from a mile away that they weren't going to be that good. I didn't think it'd be this bad, though. They'll be in 5th place this year, and they'll be in 5th place for a very long time.
I just want to say I like how both you guys botched Sugano's name. I'm pretty sure Ryan botched the first name and Jake botched the last name, but yeah, this team is just horrid. They got to sign pitching fast in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that the Orioles did botch the offseason. I feel like you guys covered the Orioles pretty well, so we're going to go with what, in my opinion, is the best story in baseball right now, the Detroit Tigers. And the reason I say this is because Javier Baez is leading this team in WAR offensively, and I see a really high ceiling for this team if they invest in the deadline. So going to start with Jake since we haven't started with him yet. So, Jake, what are your thoughts on this year's Tigers team?
What I think about this year's Tigers team is what I thought about them from the start of the season. A team that is carried by pitching that has good offense. You look at their pitching staff, it's led by the best pitcher in Major League Baseball, Tariq Skubal. Skubal this season has an ERA that is just along the 2 range. He has been so good, got a killer fastball. He could every game is stretching over 6 innings. If he gives up 2 runs in 6 innings, that's a bad outing for Tariq Skubal. But then you look at the offense. It's led by a guy who he thought would be a bust for a very long time in Spencer Torkelson, who has really shown out this year to be a much better player than he has in the past. He's got a double-digit amount of home runs, and his average, though, is not very good, but Spencer Torkelson has been a lot better this year than he was in the past. It's also led by 2 other majorly good hitting left-handers in Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green. Carpenter, who came into the year, was not really on people's radar, has emerged as one of the better leadoff hitters in all of baseball. And then you look at Riley Green, who people had on their mind as the best hitter on this Tigers team going into the season, has just been playing really, really good baseball. I really like what the Tigers are doing. They're leading MLB best record in baseball. They've had it for a very long time, and I expect this record for the Tigers to continue, and I expect them to take the 1 seed and maybe take the entire American League when it's all said and done.
Samuel, what do you think?
First off, I don't think Kerry Carpenter was quote unquote not on anyone's radar. By the way, he had a clutch home run last year in the postseason. I don't get why he wouldn't be on anyone's radar, but I knew this Tigers team would be good personally. I think I had them around like 95 wins or something at the beginning of the year. That was just logic because they made the playoffs and they lost no one because I did. By the way, I did. Jake, you can pull up the predictions. I did. He's texting in private chat, by the way. All right, let's carry on. So I believe they won around 90 games last year, and they didn't lose anyone. They got better. They signed back Jack Flaherty, who they traded at the deadline with 5 minutes to go in 2024. We'll see if another crazy trade like that happens this year. I hope it does because that would be pretty cool to see. And the state of this team is really good. Riley Green especially has been amazing this year. He's almost at 60 RBIs. I mean, I know that's not that good of a stat, but he's almost at 60 RBIs, and we're not even at the halfway point of the year. So this Tigers team, they're only on the come up too. Scooball's been amazing as advertised, and yeah, that's about all I have to say.
Ryan, go ahead and follow up that amazing performance right there.
Yeah, I think this Tigers team, yes, they are good, but I do think they have overperformed a little bit. The team is composed of a ton of guys who were unproven going into the year, and I could see a ton of second half regression coming, and I could see that leading into the postseason. I wanted to highlight Javier Baez, who Jake mentioned has been their most valuable offensive player according to Baseball Reference 4. He has a 2.1 B-WAR this season, which is solid. But you go to his Baseball Savant page, and Jake is a guy who loves trashing on Cubs outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong. He always criticizes him for not walking a lot, having a high chase rate. And where is this criticism for Javier Baez? He is still a similar player to what he was the past few years when he was one of the worst hitters in all of baseball. The only thing that has changed is maybe a little bit more luck and a little bit of adjustments in his swing and stance, but he still is chasing over 40% of the time. He only walks 3.5% of the time. So he is at the very bottom of the league in terms of chase rate and walk rate. And that is a perfect sign for some insane regression come the second half. I can easily see him returning to his normal self like he has been the past few years. And overall, like I mentioned before, this Tigers team just doesn't have a ton of proven talent. Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green are becoming proven, but outside of that, Spencer Torkelson, we've seen him go through insane slumps before. He can always be prone to that. Gleyber Torres has been inconsistent his whole career. This season, he's been consistent with a 131 OPS plus. I could see him regressing. This team is just way too prone for regression, in my opinion, and I don't really trust them come playoff time. They should run away with the American League Central, and they're benefiting heavily off how weak the American League field is this year. But I don't see them making much noise in the playoffs, and I could easily see some major regression in the second half.
Look, I'm probably going to give a similar take to Ryan about this team, which is that I'm pretty cautiously optimistic about this Tigers team. I have a little more hope than you do, but I'm definitely in the middle between you and Samuel and Jake. I'll start with the lineup first, and I'll go to the pitching. I will say this lineup has definitely I feel like the Tigers the past few years, what's really held them back is they've had a couple of positions where they've just had terrible production, just terrible. And really, outside of shortstop, they've been pretty good this year. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I believe we did an AL Central draft. I drafted Jake Rogers as catcher. I think Tigers fans are pretty happy that he's played less than 20 games, and Dylan Dingler has put up more than respectable stats to this point for them at catcher. I mean, considering they're expecting preseason, it has been a huge, huge improvement for that end. I think Gleyber Torres has exceeded my expectations. I would expect a little bit of a decline just because if you look at the trend of his career, he's pretty streaky. And as far as Javier Baez goes, I really don't think that – I mean, I think it's good for the Tigers to have him play well, but I don't really think this team was expecting to rely on him at all. And to be honest, with the new habits at the plate, I mean, I get the percentages are still there, but they were still able to teach an old dog at least a couple bit of new tricks. The thing that really makes me worry about this team, though, is the rotation, because unless Jack Flaherty picks it up a little bit, I'm going to need to see more to trust this team in a playoff series. I like Skubal in a game one, obviously. A game two, I don't really see how this team could win. I mean, you could throw Casey Mize out there. I still have to see a little bit more stuff out there from him. I mean, his FIP is basically an entire point above his ERA, so I would be cautiously optimistic about his stats. The bullpen has been pretty well. It's done pretty well for them so far in the year, which I think really speaks to their season. The good thing for the Tigers is that, like Ryan said, they will not have to worry about this division at all in the second half. And I think what they really need to focus on is trying to preserve home field advantage through the entire American League playoffs. I don't really think this team can win the World Series, but I'll go out and say that I think the ceiling for them is to make the World Series. But to do it, they're going to have to invest in the deadline, and they're going to need a big improvement from Jack Flaherty to get him back to where he was for basically all of last season, which was a really good arm. So that'll be it. We'll go one more team in the American League, which is a team that really, ever since their World Series, they've kind of declined a little bit, is the Texas Rangers. I think that this is a pretty interesting team to come deadline, especially where they're sitting at the record. They spend a lot of money on this squad, which we at first thought that they were geniuses for doing, but now it's starting to bite them in the back a little bit. So I'll start with Ryan on this one.
Yeah, well, I will admit to being wrong, because going into this year, there are clips of me saying it on the 5-Tool podcast. I thought the Texas Rangers offense was the most dangerous offense in baseball outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I could not have been more than wrong. This season, they have a 37-39 record. They're third place in the AL West, which is a relatively weak division. And simply for them, it's been a lot of guys underperforming. You got to start with Jake Berger, who was their big offensive pickup. They traded Nathaniel Lowe, their longtime first baseman, to Washington in order to make room for Jake Berger at first base. And he has been very disappointing. He has an 87 OPS plus after hitting about 30 homers last year with the Marlins. He only has 10 this year in over 240 plate appearances. And you also got to go to Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, their middle infield duo. Semien has been an inconsistent guy the past few years. He's still always been one of their best players, but this year he has just a 1.1 WAR, and most of that is coming from his defense, as he has a 90 OPS plus. And Seager has been underperforming as well. He has a 109 OPS plus after consistently being one of the best offensive infielders in baseball the past few years. And the biggest problem for this Rangers team has been their lack of superstar power. Their best offensive player this year among qualified hitters has been Josh Smith, who is their utility guy, and he has a 129 OPS plus. Outside of that, Sam Haggerty and Evan Carter are the only other guys with an OPS plus north of 120. So they just haven't had enough big performances to outweigh the underperformances, and that is the reason why they are currently below 500, while I expected them to be significantly better going into the year.
All right, I'm going to do myself a favor here, and I'm going to go second, because I feel like when I go last, all the takes are kind of used up. So I'm going to go look at this Rangers team, and I put I mean, money. He had a pretty good year in Arizona, albeit it was kind of a platoon guy. He was IL'd about a month ago, but in 46 games of action that we saw from him, it was arguably the worst 46 games we've seen of him in his career. And between that and Jake Berger, I mean, if we were to give this team a mid-year offseason grade from what they did in the offseason, it would not be very high. Another guy who he's having a decent season, don't get me wrong. I mean, like OPS plus of 117 is pretty impressive. But like outside of that, I don't really see any mind-boggling numbers from Wyatt Langford, who I get that he's still kind of young and he's adjusting to big league pitching. But I kind of expected a lot from Wyatt Langford considering how much hype he had going into this season. I feel like from a lot of people, they expected him to have a big breakout season. I feel like we did that with Evan Carter a year ago, and both of them kind of fizzled out. If we look at the pitching staff, I mean, they've been able to get 15 starts out of Jacob deGrom. I don't know how many starts they're going to get for the rest of the season. Patrick Corbin's somehow been a good pitcher for them, which is still confusing me. But their rotation has kind of performed a lot better than a 500 team, and their bullpen has been more than serviceable. So the team is dead because if they get the offense back, they'll be pretty much back to normal where they want to be. And it's not like they're crazy out of the mix right now. Definitely all a good shape.
Yeah, the Texas Rangers, for me, have been a very underperforming team. I expected them to run through this AL West division, and it was all on the back of who we thought coming into the year was a top 3 shortstop in baseball in Corey Seager, who has just been proven to just be inconsistent and not very good this season. He's only has a 1.1 WAR. His OPS is just shy of 100, if I am correct on that. Yeah, no, it's just north of 100. Excuse me. It's 109 when we expected a guy like Corey Seager to have an OPS plus of above 125, 130, something around there. And then with their big acquisition and the offseason and Jake Berger, I expected him to maybe have a 30-plus home run season like he did just 1 year ago. He didn't. Was sent down to the minor leagues. He has proven to not be able to do it this season. And just overall, this Rangers team has just been very underperforming. And I wouldn't be shocked if they sell off a few pieces at this year's deadline to try and rebuild that farm system after trading away their star prospect Luis Angel Acuna to the Mets for Max Scherzer, which proved out to be not a lot for them, really.
I'm going to go a completely different route from Jake here. I actually still think this team could win the World Series. It's going to be viewed as an outlandish take, but like Ryan said, we thought this offense would be one of the best in baseball at the start of the year. This offense has clearly not been one of the best in baseball, but their pitching has been really good. Their OPS allowed is 633. That is the best in baseball. And if this offense does become what we thought it could become in the second half of the year, then we're looking at a World Series contender. Like, are we not? Like, if the pitching is as good as it is right now, I know what Sam said about DeGrom. We may not get that many more starts from DeGrom, but if the pitching stays like that, I know Eovaldi's also in the IL. If the pitching stays like that, and DeGrom and Eovaldi stay healthy for a large majority of the year, and the offense comes back to life, even to just be average, this is a team that could easily make the playoffs and win the World Series.
All right. That will do it for the American League. I feel like we had some pretty good takes in there. We're going to switch over to what I think is a stronger National League, and we're going to start with the team that currently tied with the NL East lead right now. They should probably honestly be up by a lot more, but this past week has gone pretty terrible for them, the New York Mets, sitting at 46-31 right now. If you told them that was their week ago, I believe they would be pretty disappointed. But tonight they finally ended the losing streak, and you could say that maybe that was a pretty high morale boosting win over the Philadelphia Phillies, can maybe get them back on track. So I'll give the mic to someone who knows more about the Mets than anyone. I'll give it to Jake.
Yeah, the New York Mets have been overall above expectations, and really the part that's been above expectations for them has been their starting rotation. It's being led by a guy named Griffin Canning, who had one of the worst statistical seasons for a starting pitcher in 2024 when he was with the Los Angeles Angels before getting picked up by the Atlanta Braves. The Mets, though, overall have just been a really, really, really strong pitching team, and not as much about the offense, which is what people thought of. It's been a really top-heavy offense with Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, who hit 2 home runs tonight. And overall, just this Mets team, though, has been really, really, really good. They got swept by the Braves. They got swept by the Rays. But besides those 2 teams, really, they hadn't lost 3 games in a row all season long. They're playing good baseball. Juan Soto has been getting really, really, really unlucky. He still has one of the greatest baseball savants in baseball this season. And even though he's not been playing to what people say the $700 million standards, as he still is posting up an 850 OPS. But then you have to look at the bullpen, which led by Reed Garrett, Huáscar Brazoban, and Edwin Diaz, who have all 3 been really, really, really good for this Mets team. Garrett had his only blow-up game last night against Philadelphia, where he really blew the game in the 7th inning, giving up 4 earned runs. But besides that, and going up until mid-May, he had not given up an inherited runner when he comes into most inherited runner situations. Overall, though, this Mets team has been really performing above expectations and is really proving that they could be a team to watch for in October. But what they do need to do is add a starting pitcher at this year's deadline.
All right, I'll go next on the Mets here, and I'm going to be completely honest. A lot of these Mets teams, but the thing that I think is different about this Mets team in particular is that I think 1 through 9, they're more scary than all of those previous teams. However, they're going to have a decent deadline, in my opinion, for me to say that they're confidently better than the Phillies. To be honest, I think it all starts with the guy that Jake was just talking about, Juan Soto. I think that this first 75 games of Juan Soto has probably been what could have been the worst 75 games we could have imagined, which, that's not by any means saying that they were bad. It's just you would expect a lot more, and I think that we are going to get a lot more because I think that he's been a tiny bit unlucky. He's getting walked a lot. I think that if he starts catching some more pitches, he's at 14 home runs right now. I think I'm going to go out and fully say I expect him to finish with 35 or more home runs to end the season. And I definitely expect him to get some of these stats up, maybe even get a little bit lucky as the year goes on. If we look at the rest of this team, Pete Alonso, he's played well enough. I fully expect him to decline the option at the end of his contract this season because he's honestly outperforming his, I believe it was $27 million contract for this year. There's definitely a lot of upside with Luis Angel Acuna. He's appeared in 63 games for them this season, but I think that we can all agree that they may want a different infielder as the postseason run comes around. And then in terms of their outfield, Nimmo, I believe he can play better baseball than he is right now as well. I think that there's a decent amount to like about this team. Their bullpen has had a few good guys. I feel like they probably want to get one more good reliever as the stretch comes along. And then I think that their rotation, we haven't really seen the best of it considering that they have some guys who haven't even pitched yet this season who are going to be coming back off the IL soon. So, to be honest, I think that this bad stretch that we just saw from the Mets is probably going to be one of their worst stretches of their entire season when we look back at it.
Yeah, the guy we were talking about was Sean Manaea, I assume, for the Mets coming back. And I want to talk specifically about tonight. The Mets, they bounced back from a 7-game losing streak. And when the Mets signed, I believe they've signed Nimmo to an extension. When they signed back Alonso, they signed Lindor to an extension, and they signed Soto this past offseason. This was the night that Mets fans dreamed of, and that's what just happened against their division rival, their biggest rival, I'd argue. And they absolutely pounced them. Nimmo, Soto, Lindor, Alonso, I believe all of them hit home runs tonight. And coming off a 7-game win streak, if your stars can do that, that's really important, especially against a rival. And so Alonso did not hit a home run, I think Jake said. But otherwise, this team has been really good in ways that you wouldn't even expect this year. The rotation's already been talked about with most of you guys. So yeah, looking good for the Mets. Just a couple of deadline acquisitions could put them in a very good spot for their postseason run. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to highlight Juan Soto, the superstar player on this New York Mets team. Sam recently made the take that these are about the worst 75 games from Juan Soto you could have asked for, and I'm actually going to disagree. You got to remember Soto is coming off a career year where I think he actually overperformed a little bit. He was in a very offensive-friendly environment, especially for left-handed hitters like him, and that led him to put up a 178 career OPS plus, which was the highest of his career in a full season 2020 doesn't count because he had put up a 217 OPS plus in only 47 games. But anyways, I want to go back to Soto's two most recent years before he went to the Yankees, 2022 and 2023 when he was with the Nats and Padres. In 2022, he put up a 147 OPS plus, and in 2023, he put up a 155 OPS plus. This year, his OPS plus is at 142, so a little bit lower than those 2 years, but still pretty similar. And I think that's just the guy he is. He's going to be a guy with the Mets who puts up an OPS plus right around 150 for each of the next, let's say, 8 to 12 years. He'll lead the league in walks pretty much every year. He'll be a bad defender. He could possibly move to first base at some time, but I'm not going to expect him to hit at Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani levels. I don't think that's the guy he is. He does not have that type of power, and last year was a little bit of an outlier year with him hitting 41 home runs, and that'll probably end up being his career high in home runs by a pretty good margin. I don't see him as a major power threat.
All right, well, I'm Soto at first. When it comes to superstars wanting to play first base, I'm not sure that's going to slide. But we'll go over the Braves real quick. Even take because nobody likes really hearing biased takes. I mean, to be completely honest, before the Chris Sale injury, I was pretty high on where this team was going. Now I'm pretty mediocre. I would like to say, though, that this team has gotten really unlucky. I mean, they expected win-loss. They're at 41-34, and their real record is 35-40. And they have a higher run differential than the Padres. So if time goes on, I think eventually they'll get the right back where that is. Is that enough to make the National League wild card? I don't know. I know that Alex Anthopoulos is going to buy at the trade deadline. We can debate whether you're going to buy or sell. I do believe that this team is going to go all in on this season. Whether that's going to work or not, I'm going to let you guys decide. I'll give it to Samuel first.
Yeah, the Braves are not good. I'm just going to say it. They went 0-7, but there's at the start of the year, everyone knows about that streak because Braves fans were freaking out about it. But they're still only 35-33 since that's not even that good. So, yeah, this team does not look too good still. I mean, at 35-40. Matt Olson's been solid. Austin Riley's been solid. Acuna, I think, has been all right. Oh, yeah, he's been really good, since he came back from injury. And Sam's guy, Drake Baldwin's been really good too. So, yeah, honestly, I don't have much to say about this team. They started out really bad. They started out really badly, and they've been trying to come back ever since. I think they got over 500 at one point, but they're still trying to get themselves into contention.
Yeah, I was talking about the Braves over text with Sam earlier today, and I kind of view them pretty similarly to how he does. I think the Braves are a team that could maybe go on a big run in the playoffs if they end up getting in, but I think Chris Sale going to the 15-day IL with a rib injury really hurts them. He was by far their best pitcher this season. He's looking like a future Hall of Famer, and he's pitching like a 25-year-old when he's 36. He has a 2.52 ERA right here. He has a 2.52 ERA this year, and that is just really crushing for them. He is the only pitcher on that Braves pitching staff with a sub-3 ERA, excluding Dylan Lee, because I was only talking about starters. But anyways, I just don't know what to make of this Braves team. I still think they can go on a run in the postseason if Sale comes back and Acuna stays hot and stays healthy. But, it's just been a very disappointing year in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say that one thing you've said about Dylan Lee, the bullpen has been absolutely terrible for them this season, which has really shown why they should have spent more money on it. I mean, I was going into the year knowing that you had to have Eniel De Los Santos on your opening day roster. Ironically, he's been good, but they definitely sat out way too long on the bullpen, and they expected Flyers to work out that haven't. We're going to move on to 3 per take just because we kind of want to try to get through all our segments. I'm going to sit this one out. We're going to talk about the Chicago Cubs, and we'll start with Jake.
I'm going to go and talk about the Atlanta Braves. Thank you very much.
I feel as though enough has been said about that team.
As I had a take here to make about the Atlanta Braves is I just think that the Atlanta Braves own the New York Mets. That's literally where my stance is about the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have not been great this season, but when they played the Mets, it seems like those 3 games were the 3 best baseball games the Atlanta Braves played all season. Marcell was in a 3-run double in the 8th inning to start the series, and overall, just the Braves were a very, very, very good team last year and the years before that. But now this year, their guys are getting a little older, and guys like Marcell Ozuna, who are reaching their mid to late 30s, are hitting like high in age, making them not be as good as hitters. and he has just not been performing to the level that we've seen him perform in the past. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Chicago Cubs, like you said, and there is one name to talk about, and he has a 3-letter nickname, and his name is PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong this season has been proving to be, in my opinion, the number 2 in MVP voting, only behind a guy in LA named Shohei Ohtani. And PCA has just been outstanding and lights out on the offensive side and the defensive side, especially on the defensive end. He's making catches like no one's ever seen, and he's a real speed threat everywhere on the bases. But then when you look at his offense, you have to see that there is a chance at regression. He is the worst chase rate in all of baseball, and he really only has 1 percentile stat that is in the red on Baseball Savant, where guys like Juan Soto have about 7 stats in the red on Baseball Savant. And just overall, Pete Crow Armstrong has been incredible on both the offensive and defensive end, but mainly on the defensive end. But then when you look at their whole team, their starting rotation has really pitched well since May. And just the Cubs are going to run away with this NL Central division. And there is a good chance that they make the NLCS, but there's also a good chance that they could lose in the wild card round. The Cubs are really a toss-up for me, and we'll see what Jed Hoyer does at the trade deadline to really make them to see what they really are.
Yeah, I know you are generally a Cubs hater, but I'm actually going to disagree with you on that take you made, which was that the Cubs are going to run away with this NL Central division. The Brewers have actually still hung around this year, and I could easily see the Cubs going on a very bad losing skid in the second half. Their pitching staff is already very banged up. They're giving up a ton of runs per game. So if that offense goes cold, if PCA starts to regress, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, I could easily see them losing the division lead. They're currently only 4.5 games up on the Brewers and Cardinals, and the Brewers have always been a threat to them in past years. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different roster this year for them with no Willy Adames. But still, I would not be shocked if the Cubs blow the division lead. That said, I still see them easily getting into the playoffs as a wild card team at the bare minimum.
Yeah, 4.5 behind both the Brewers and the Cardinals. But Jake is indeed a Cubs hater, as his latest Instagram post was captioned with Mets 42-24, Cubs 40-25. So definitely a Cubs hater there. But he goes to school in Chicago, so that's obvious. The Cubs, this has been a very good team thus far. I don't think there was much talk about Kyle Tucker so far, but he's been very good, exactly what the Cubs expected when they got him in that trade. And yeah, I mean, this team has just been really good all around. Seiya Suzuki had a hot start to the year, but I believe he's cooled down a little bit more. Ian Happ, Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, they've all been very good parts of this Cub team, and the offense has been thriving so far.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about the Cubs real quick, which is that I'm going to disagree with Ryan's take about this team maybe losing the NL Central. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say that out of the 3 division leaders in the National League, I'm most confident in the Chicago Cubs that they will hold their division lead as of this day, simply because of the competition behind them. I mean, to be completely honest, I've been low on this division to begin the year. I've compared them to the AL Central. They've slightly performed it, but in terms of looking at this team, I mean, I mentioned it with the Braves. I like the look at run differential for teams. Cubs have 64 higher run differential than the Brewers. I understand that the Brewers, they've kind of played good baseball lately, and it seems as though year in, year out, we always think that they're going to fade, and they never do. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting, but in terms of the Cubs, I feel like we haven't really seen a Cubs team that's gone all in at the trade deadline in a while, just because they've always kind of been, should we buy or should we sell state the past couple of years. This year, they fully know that they should buy at the trade deadline. They can go get a good starter, maybe get a good reliever, and get a bat that has a little more power than what they're dealing with right now. I mean, PCA and Seiya have got good power, but if they could get one more power bat, I think that would really serve them well. I mean, to be honest, I feel like this team isn't really succeeding for the reasons they should, though, at the same time. It's like a lot of the guys who I feel like they've invested in, like Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson, are not really the reasons they're doing good. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think something to keep an eye on for the Cubs is this going to be the only year that we see Kyle Tucker in Chicago? So that's really the only thing that I'm interested in with them. We'll go over to the National League West now. We're going to do 3 teams in that division, I believe I had, but maybe it's 2. I think it's actually 2. We'll start with a team that everyone thought that they were the undisputable world champions. They acted like it wasn't even worth playing the season in the Dodgers. I'll start with Ryan.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Anyways, the Dodgers are about what I expected them to be. They are currently first place in the NL West. Their offense has been very good, even with a little bit of an underperformance from Mookie Betts. Shohei has been as good as previous years. Freddie Freeman has been even better than he was last year, despite aging. Will Smith has had a career year in what's already been a really good career for him. Just everyone has performed. Max Muncy has performed after a really slow start. He's been one of the best years in baseball since getting those astigmatism glasses. And their offense has just been good enough to overcome pitching injuries. Their only starting pitcher from their opening week rotation, who is currently active, is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He has a sub-3. He's been pretty good despite some rough starts recently. And some guys have stepped up as well. Clayton Kershaw has a 3.31 ERA at the ripe age of 37. Their bullpen has also been solid. There have been some injuries and some underperformances. But yeah, their pitching has done just enough, while their offense has been just as good as expected, for them to be first place in the National League West with a 47-30 record. So yeah, once the Dodgers get their guys back, they are going to be a historic team. They should easily win 100-plus games and easily be the favorite to win the World Series going into October.
Sorry, I was unmuted. Dodgers have been really good so far this year, the usual suspects. But one guy I want to highlight is Andy Pages. He's had a breakout year so far. He's hitting 295, 52 RBIs, 16 homers, and an 853 OPS. And he has been an everyday player in this Dodgers team. And having a homegrown guy, complimentary to Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Teoscar, Will Smith, all of that, that's a really good offense. And having a guy like Pages fit in there is really good for the Dodgers. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as Ryan mentioned, outstanding year so far. He started off really well. He's calmed down a little bit more. He's at 2.76 ERA right now. But it's looking on the up for the Dodgers once their injury problems are solved.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about just the overall offense of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and specifically what I think it was Samuel mentioned on Andy Pages. At the start of the season, the Dodgers fan base and Dodgers Twitter were really low on Andy Pages and wanted him sent down. There were posts of him hitting the bat with a new torpedo bat, except the bat literally didn't have a barrel on it because of how bad of baseball he was playing. But now he has stepped up, and he has been one of the best players on this Dodgers team alongside Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani. But obviously we have to talk about the MVP, the National League MVP, who I think will end up winning it this season, going back-to-back, is Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani has just been incredible. He's hit 25 home runs on the year for this Dodgers team, and it's just the best leadoff man in baseball and arguably the best leadoff man in MLB history. Just overall, this Dodgers team is just really, really, really good. Their bullpen has a lot of logjam though in it, with left-handers and lefties like Anthony Banda, Alex Vesia, and then there's guys that just keep going on the IL. Evan Phillips was on the IL for a while. Blake Trinan is there right now. Just the Dodgers team though is when you say a name and you know who that guy is, expect them to be on the Dodgers, because the Dodgers will get anyone. They'll do anything for anyone. And they have just been really, really, really good this year and last year. And they're going to be very, very good for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, after all that, I really feel like there's nothing else for me to say about the Dodgers. So we will move on to the San Francisco Giants, who obviously, I mean, they are the hottest team in baseball this week in terms of headlines with the move that they have made. But I'm actually going to kind of focus on their pitching staff, because I feel like their offense, I mean, they've probably done the biggest trade that they're going to do for the deadline. I mean, they may make a couple housekeeping moves, but that was definitely their big signature move for the deadline. In terms of their pitching staff, though, I feel like they're going to have to kind of find a fifth starter as this year goes on, especially just because they got Jordan Hicks. Is that fifth guy Hayden Birdsong? Do they maybe go out and get a different starter? I think that'll be interesting. I don't think this team has a chance of catching the Dodgers. I think their priority should just be the 4 seed in the wild card standings. I'll give it to Jake here.
Yeah, the San Francisco Giants, they went out, they made the splash, they made the big trade for this season, and it was to go out and get Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox. Devers has already hit a home run for this team. They hit it tonight against that Boston Red Sox team, and he has just been really, really good all season for Boston. He had a walk-off home run earlier in the month of June, and he hit a big home run against the Yankees in his last game as a Boston Red Sox. And overall, Joe, this Giants team is carried by their pitching staff and not their offense. They've got guys like Heliot Ramos. Their big offseason signing in Willie Adames hasn't panned out the way that they wanted it to on the offensive end. As well, they have playing third base Matt Chapman, who's down on the IL right now and will be down for probably the next month. Just overall, though, this Giants team, they're going to want to compete this postseason, but their priority should be to get ready for next year and get ready for the next 3 to 5 years where their window can finally open and hopefully for them get a ring.
Yeah, I'll go next with the Giants here. I think this team still has a ton to do on the offensive front. And honestly, with how poorly this offense has performed, I'm very surprised that this team is 8 games over 500 as we speak. Jake just mentioned before, Willie Adames has underperformed heavily. He was their big offseason acquisition, and he has just an 83 OPS plus. Patrick Bailey, as much value he brings as a defensive catcher, that kind of gets weighed down by his bad OPS plus and overall offensive numbers. He has just a 54 OPS plus this season, making him one of the worst hitters in all of baseball. So they have a lot of liabilities on offense and a lot of things to clean up. I think that bringing in Rafael Devers really helps a lot. But yeah, they just have a lot of work to do if they want to be a team that can compete for the World Series. Because with how good their bullpen is, and with how good the front of their rotation is with Robbie Ray and Logan Webb, if they can just pick up another starting pitcher at the deadline and make some tweaks to their offense and get hot come October, they can be a threat to go on a run and maybe win the pennant or maybe even win the World Series. They are an incomplete team right now, but they are not that far away from contending.
Yeah, San Francisco has been really good really good start to the year. They've kept it up. They're still keeping pace with the Dodgers, just barely. They're 4 games behind. But yeah, like Ryan said, Rafi Devers, he has expressed interest in playing another position for San Francisco, considering they have a former Gold Glover there in Matt Chapman at third base, so he would have to take the job at first base, if anything. So we'll see what happens there with the Giants. I know Rafi Devers explained when he was in Boston that he didn't. It's not that he didn't want to play first base; it's that he just didn't know how yet. So we'll see if Giants. Buster Posey, I'm sure, will have the Giants giving him the proper teaching to make him the everyday first baseman there.
All right, that will do it for MLB midterm reports. We're going to move on to our next segment here, which will be previewing some trade deadline stuff. We're going to do a player that we think will be traded and a player we want to see traded. I'll go reverse. I'll start with Samuel.
Okay, so my player that I think will be traded is kind of a hypothetical here, but I think if the Cleveland Guardians are not willing to give Stephen Kwan the extension that he wants, which would probably would be upwards of $200 million at this point. I think he will be possibly traded at the deadline. He is at his highest value that he will be in his contract, and I believe with upwards of 2 years remaining in his deal, it might be 1.5. Kwan could easily be dealt at the deadline or in the offseason this year if extension talks happen, and if they stall, Kwan could be on the move, and the Guardians could be getting a lot back for a player like him, especially since they're, I believe, just around, they're at exactly 500 as we speak, but they're going to be above 500 after tonight against the Athletics.
All right, I'll go next to a player that I think will be traded. Jaron Durham, which actually 2 weeks ago I did not buy into the rumors, but considering everything that happened with Devers, I'm going to say that Durham gets traded by the Red Sox, and he will go somewhere else. For my player that I want to see get traded, I doubt it's going to happen, but I want to see the Orioles trade Felix Bautista. I feel like it would be really interesting for Major League Baseball. I mean, I think just a really superstar closer like that going into a bigger market, maybe resetting the Orioles, I think would really help them. I'll send it to Ryan next.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dane Myers of the Miami Marlins. We've seen the Marlins trade pre-arb guys in the past, guys with not a lot of service time, and Dane Myers meets that criteria. He is 29, but he made his major league debut in 2023 and has only played 114 games in his career. So he was pretty unproven going into the year. He had been a little injury-riddled. He missed the majority of the second half last year, but this year he's been healthy and he's been amazing. He's been by far the best hitter in this Marlins lineup, a 132 OPS plus for him. He's played amazing defense in center field. It feels like he's making a new highlight play every week. And just with the state of the Marlins and with Dane Myers' age, I think the Marlins view him as a valuable player, but I don't think they view him as a superstar extension candidate or a cornerstone type player, especially with his age. So I would not be surprised if a team comes calling and says they need a center fielder, because the Marlins, if they get the right package in return, they would easily deal Dane Myers, especially with the up-and-coming players they have in their farm system.
All right, I'm going to go again with my player that I want to be traded. I'm going to say it's the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to go with Hunter Goodman. He's had quite the impressive year this year. Under the radar for the Colorado Rockies. He's a catcher currently, but I believe he can play a lot of positions, that out in the infield, outfield, wherever you want. So Hunter Goodman would be a nice versatility player that will be on the move. He's at an 842 OPS this year. Yes, it's in Colorado, but he's still hitting 284. So I think Hunter Goodman would be a surprising but nice piece to add to any championship team.
All right, close off with Jake.
I'm going to go with the guy who I think is going to be traded in a really hot take here. And I'm going to go ahead and say Dylan Cease of the San Diego Padres could really easily get dealt. The Padres, they have almost like a logjam at starting pitching with him, Michael King, and others. And what they could really do is go ahead and acquire a big bat like Jarren Duran. Cease this season is posting a 4.69 ERA, which is one of the worst seasons of his career. But overall, he could really be a top pitcher in baseball. In 2022, he posted a 6.4 WAR and a 2.2 ERA as well. He had a 3.4 ERA last season. And Dylan Cease has just the potential to take a team that's like going to make the AL or NLDS to CS to become a World Series contender with him in the playoffs. We will see what he can do. For any playoff team, he'll probably, if he's still on the Padres, he will make the playoffs and pitch for them, most likely in this postseason run. But I expect him, and I hope that he gets traded to a team that could really use him starting pitching, and the Padres could add a bat after losing Jurickson Profar, who had a really good year last year. Then I'm going to go with the guy who I want to be traded, and it's Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins. Sandy Alcantara has been really not good this year. He's had his worst year of his career, has a negative 1.1 WAR and over 6 ERA. And I hope he gets traded, because I think if you put him in a new environment, you put him in an environment in Chicago, in LA, in New York, in somewhere, then he could be a really, really good pitcher again. He was a 2023 Cy Young Award winner as well. He played really, really, really good for the Marlins in 2022. And his fastball velocity is still where it is. He just needs to work on just some more stuff with his break and a lot of other things. He's been good over the past month of the season for the Marlins, but I hope he gets traded to a team that could really use some starting pitching, because I think that he could also elevate a team from an ALDS to CS team to a World Series contender.
All right, that will do it for the deadline. We're going to go into our final segment, which Ryan will show us, which will be Grid Tac-Toe. We will have two semifinal matchups. It'll be Jake versus Samuel, and then me versus Ryan. Winners will play each other, and losers will play each other. That is how we will cap off the episode. And I'll have Ryan take it over from here.
All right, yeah, so it's pretty simple. This is the Immaculate Grid. It'll be tic-tac-toe style, so the first person to get a tic-tac-toe wins and stays on. The matchups are going to be me versus Sam and Jake with Jake against Samuel, and we will choose 3 different grids. For Jake against Samuel, which will be the opening matchup, we have Samuel's Guardians on it, so Samuel maybe has a bit of an advantage. I'll start with
Well, let Jake go first.
I say we give Jake first.
I'll start with Jake.
I'm going to go for the corner here, and I'm going to go with Guardians and 200-plus career wins, and I'm going to go ahead and take CC Sabathia for my first pick. for the Guardians and 200 plus wins.
All right. I'm going to take Cleveland and Atlanta. We're going to go with Eddie Rosario.
Yeah. By the way, just for note, rarity score or percentage does not matter as long as you get the square filled in. It counts.
I'm going to go to 40 plus career WAR and 200 wins pitching, and I'm going to go with Randy Johnson.
We'll take. This might be a bit of a risk, but I have to go for the block here. We'll go Blue Jays 200 plus wins. I'll take Roy Halladay. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to go with Rangers 40 plus career WAR. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go with a bit of a guess here. I'm going to say Nelson Cruz.
That should be correct.
Career.
That is not who I would have gone with.
Career DH and bad defensive outfielder Nelson Cruz. Interesting pick. Job done.
If I were Jake, I would have gone 40 plus career WAR there, but it's whatever. We will take Braves 40 plus career WAR. I'm just trying to figure out the safest option here. Greg Maddux.
Okay, now I have to go for the block.
I think Hank Aaron would have been the safest option there, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought of I know Maddux won a lot of consecutive Cy
Does
Youngs.
Hank Aaron-
So
Sam, Damn, do we notice Hank Aaron have like over 80 career WAR?
Okay, this is pretty off topic.
Yeah.
Let's get on topic, Jake. How about you guess a Brave Blue Jay?
Braves and Blue Jays.
My guy is stalling right now.
This is
I
tough.
have a couple guys in mind, obviously.
Well, you're a Braves fan, so I'm just
I knew Sam, I knew one right away. There's an obvious one. There's a really obvious one here.
Don't say that. I don't know one
I'll
either.
just text you the guys who I'm thinking of.
I don't know one either. Don't say that, bro.
shoot. I mean, I've got a guess here, but I don't know. I don't think that guy pitched for the Braves.
All right, I'm said that we give Jake 25 seconds.
All right, I'm gonna throw out a wild guess here. Blue Jays, Braves, Jose Bautista.
I think he got it. Yeah.
That is correct.
All right. I'm gonna
I
take.
think it is impossible for Samuel to win this game now.
So I have to hope that he does not know a Guardian and Ranger, but I know a Blue Jay and a Ranger, so we'll take that one now. Marcus Simeon.
Okay, Guardians and Rangers.
Okay, so keep in mind, guys. I think we are tied at 4-4 right now. So if Jake gets this wrong, we
Oh,
will
I have
give
a
Samuel-
crazy pull for this one.
We will give Samuel an opportunity to get the win here if Jake gets this wrong.
Oh God, this is gonna be tough. Guardians, Rangers.
I have a crazy pull. Jake, you
Yeah,
have to get
no,
it.
you
Oh, I just thought of a Guardian Blue Jay, not a Guardian Ranger. Shoot. Guardians and Rangers. Yeah, I don't know if I got this one, guys. Give me a little bit more time to think. Rangers.
All right, we're gonna give Jake about 20 seconds here to make a guess.
I guess I'll throw out. There's no way this is right. Shoot, that's not right. Trying to think of a journeyman.
About 10 seconds remaining.
All right, throw out Miles Straw. I think it's wrong, but
All right, wait, don't put it in because I'm.
Yeah, I'm not putting it in. I'm just checking. So this is
Straw is
Guardians.
incorrect. It is incorrect.
Guardians, Rangers. Straw played for the Guardians, but never played for the Rangers. He played for the neighboring Houston Astros.
All right, this is a crazy poll. I could have gone for someone a lot more obvious, but we're gonna go with for the win, Colby Howard. It's spelled with a K.
Wow, someone be out here. All right.
There we
Daniel
go.
gets the win. He'll move on to the finals. Jake will
Oh,
move on
is
to the
that the
third place game.
0.01?
Who
Is
was
that
the? Who was the?
0.01?
Was there an obvious one for that?
I was thinking Corey Kluber for the obvious one.
Oh,
Cliff Lee. I was thinking Delino DeShields.
Delino DeShields does some crazy war. Okay, Ryan and I will be up next. We'll pick who goes first based on whether
All
the
right,
Braves and
I'm
Marlins
gonna-
are on there, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick a random grid. Let's go with 800.
I really
on the
hope it's.
dot.
Let's do one with teams. If it's one with categories, okay.
All right.
Braves,
Braves
I
are
will
on.
let you go
This is
first.
solid. This is solid. All right, I'm going first.
Yes.
My goal here is to block you on some of the Braves ones. There's a really
Just go for the
obvious.
middle field.
There's a really obvious one right here. There's actually all the Braves ones are obvious, so I'll get the hard ones out of the
Honestly,
way.
the only two that are kind of like hard is like the Pirates ones.
Yeah, the Pirates ones
Yeah.
are going to determine who wins this.
I know a Pirate Royal.
Ooh, this
So do
is-
I. I know
this
a Pirate
is
Royal
Really, this is really tough. Pirates, Nats, and
I-
Pirates. Royals.
Yeah, I don't know
I
if
got
either of us are
both.
getting those.
I got both.
I think I
That's
got
really
all
cool,
these.
Jake. You didn't have the answer last game, so
All right, Pirates, Royals. I'm gonna. No, I'll go with an obvious one first. I don't know if you know the Pirates one, so I'm gonna go with Michael Soroka. Starting.
yeah, that'll
That's a
play
good
for
one.
sure. I'll go. I'll just go Braves 30+ home runs. I'll go Marcell Ozuna.
All right. Pirates 30+ homers isn't a freebie, but I'm gonna assume Andrew McCutchen did it in his MVP year. Yes.
I was thinking. Oh wait, actually, I know what I was thinking. I'll go. Pirate National Josh Bell.
Wait,
Josh Bell. Okay. Well, let's see. I blocked you on the bottom with McCutchen there.
who has what
Um,
squares? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm playing the accuracy game at this point. I know I can't get 3 in a row because the 3 in a rows are too easy.
Yeah.
Sam, what two do you have?
Pirates Royals. This is tough.
Sam, which one do you have? Do you have Ozuna and Bell?
All right, I'm just clueless with the Pirates and Royals, so I'm gonna go with a different former Royal in Jorge Soler.
All right. Well, I just realized that if you went top right, you would have got 3 in a row. So I got very lucky right there.
Oh, that's why I didn't say anything. 'Cause, okay.
I
Yeah.
need to name a left fielder for the Royals. I believe Alex Gordon played a game in left field, so I'll go that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was actually a risky.
That was a
but-
clutch save right there. Okay.
All right.
I remember him playing left field for the Royals because of a specific game. It was
All right. I don't know.
the
I'm not.
Guardians 22 wins.
I mean, Ryan, I'm going to be honest. I don't think any of us want to touch that top left.
Yeah, I have no clue. I'm gonna just throw out a guess. If I get this wrong, you probably win. I'm gonna go Michael A. Taylor. I don't think he ever played
Ooh.
for the Pirates, but there's at least a chance. Yes.
Okay, so that probably does it.
I mean, I had to roll this Chapman there.
I had Adam
I'll
Frazier
go,
there.
I'll go. Yeah, I just lost that by luck of the draw. I'll go play left field 30 homers. I'll go Acuna, and then you can walk it off.
All right. Nats played left field. I will go with Juan Soto for the win. All right. I should have won it with the top right, but I ended up.
All
getting
right,
the
we'll
one
do
right.
me versus
Lucky
Jake for
there.
third place.
All right.
first.
Third place game. Pick a random number.
I would just like to say I would like to go first for this one because Jake went first for his matchup. I'll
right.
go 799.
All right. 799.
Jake's
One
gonna
grid
suffer
below
with
the
the
last one.
consequences. Ooh,
All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
You have a.
You
have
I'll
some
go.
freebies.
I'll start it off. I'll go Cub Rocky, Chris Bryant. Let me start top left.
No, that was the freebie.
I had a better pull for that. I had DJ LeMahieu there.
When did DJ LeMahieu play for the Cubs? I did not
His
know
rookie
that.
season. He played his rookie
Oh.
season for the Cubs. I'm gonna go with Brewers 2,000 hits and Robin Yount.
That's what I would have done. Good job, Jake.
I'll go Cubs 6+ more Sammy Sosa.
Cubs and Brewers is actually somewhat difficult if I'm thinking about it. I obviously know a manager that's managed both the Cubs and Brewers, but
Yeah, Craig Counsell would not qualify.
yeah. I'm just trying to think of a player here who played for the Cubs and Brewers, and no one seems to come to mind. As Samuel has left the StreamYard.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
If Samuel's not come back, that means the winner
the
of
finals
this.
matchups, he will have to concede. Therefore, I will be the winner of the first ever.
No.
I
think the winner of this game should get a bye to the finals.
Okay. I see. Yeah. Okay, good idea.
I was thinking something similar.
All right.
Cubs and Brewers.
Yeah, Jake, I'm going to be honest. You're not really moving much right here.
Shoot. I'm just gonna go with Rockies outfielder. I just want to get a square. Rockies outfielder. I'm just gonna go with Larry Walker.
All right. Well, we can play the square game all you want. I'll go Brewer outfielder Yelich.
I'll go with 2,000 hits Colorado Rockies, and I'm just going to throw out a shout here. Nolan Arenado.
Nope.
No, he didn't do it yet.
Yeah, could have gone the very easy route with Hall of Famer Todd Helton, but
all right. Well, you know what? I'm going to shoot a Hail Mary here because I think if I get Cubs Brewers wrong, I think I can still maybe win. I was studying this guy at the beginning of the year for the Braves because I thought that he should have made the bullpen. I think his last name's Paredes.
What's his name?
It should be like
you're pretty laggy.
I think it's Paredes. I think his first name maybe begins with an E, maybe and like.
Anoli?
Yeah, Anoli.
Jeez, what a pull!
All right, let's go
All
finals.
Right.
Because Samuel's not back.
No,
Samuel back.
Samuel
oh,
is
Samuel,
I'm
dang
here.
it!
Camera off.
I'm here,
Dang
but my computer just randomly turned off, so I don't know what happened.
Oh,
It's not
Samuel,
dead
you're really
or
lucky
anything,
because if you had come back about 15 seconds later, the finals would have been me and Ryan.
I've been here like a whole 2 minutes at least, so.
All right. Samuel, pick a random number.
Let's just go with the previous one to that.
All right. Today, I hope
feel like Samuel. I feel like Samuel did. I feel like Samuel.
We are not doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with. I played a lot of the earlier ones when I was getting bored in school. So let's go with. No. It has to be a team one. 809. This is good.
All right,
it has the Guardians on. I don't think there should be any teams on any favorite teams on it for the finals.
No, you know what? I think Ryan should just go first.
Yeah.
All right. Which number was that? Was that 807?
I thought it was 809.
Just do this one.
To be fair, Ryan should.
This is good. This is good. All right, I'll go. I'll take that. I'll go first.
The previous one.
I'll go first.
Right.
Let's see. I have a wait. No, I played this. I played this one on my own. I wasn't playing Immaculate Grids in like this time in this. Let's check out like 790. No, there's too many non-team ones. This isn't that. All right, this is good. All right. Samuel, you can go first.
Give me a sec, because I have no clue. All right, we'll go in middle with the crazy pull. Charlie Culberson.
All right, Charlie Culberson. All right, we could have gone the easier route with Mike Fultonevich, but okay.
That's not how I operate somehow. So
okay. I'll go.
We Samuel.
I feel like there's an obvious one for Braves Rays, but I'm not confident. I'm gonna be honest.
I can't think of an obvious one for Braves Rays. I have a non-obvious one, but
I'm gonna block you in one way by going with Austin Meadows for Rays
That's a good one.
Tigers.
Is he
All
still
right.
on mental health break, or is he playing baseball?
He retired from professional baseball.
Oh,
All right. Rays center field. If one of you guys want to say the line, you can. Jose Siri.
All right. I have to block you with Tigers third base. I can't confidently tell you who their current third baseman is, but I know former Ray Isak Paredes played there, I think. Okay.
All right.
Zach McKay.
I'm gonna for center field, third base.
0.6%.
Wait. I have to block you. Shoot. Let's see. Rangers, Tigers. Did Nathan Eovaldi ever pitch for the Tigers?
Oh God.
Wait.
Oh my! If this is how the finals ends, then this was not a worthy opponent.
Oh my
I'm
God.
missing a bad one. All right. Hold on.
Oh wow.
Hey. Oh, don't give him any clues, guys.
Yeah, I'm about to get flamed. I know.
All right. You got 15 seconds.
No.
We need
Right.
to do a new format. Read back
Jake took way much more time than that.
Finals.
Wow.
I think that's shot clock violation.
All right, I'm just
All right.
taking Eovaldi. I think he did pitch for the Tigers.
All right, Nathan Eovaldi. I'm actually not sure if he pitched for the Tigers. We will put him in, and he did not. And for the win, future Hall of Famer Mad Max Scherzer. And that is it. I am the champion.
That was the second worst moment of today's game.
I'm
outside of
pretty
when
sure I
Ryan
had
the
one
open
for
shot
all
to
of them
beat me.
except for that one, and that hurts.
Well, that's kind of a sour way to end the podcast, but I enjoyed the episode with you guys. I think this was a pretty good episode.
Oh, that was fun.
I enjoyed everything except for that last one. But
All right, thank you guys for tuning in. You can check me out on Twitter at Marlins Ryan, and you can check everyone else out on social media in the caption. And we will see you on the next podcast.